So the body has certain rights. Inna li jasadika alayka haqqa. Your body has a right over you. And the right of the body is that we eat, we fuel it properly, we exercise it properly, we give it enough sleep that it needs. Abu Hamid al-Ghazali says the maximum amount of sleep that you should give your body, the maximum amount is 8 hours. That's the maximum. Some people need a lot of sleep. If you need a lot of sleep, that is the maximum. You should never go more than 8 hours. And it actually becomes negative sleep. Now, just to talk a little bit about sleep, because sleep is nourishment. It is literally food for the ruh. The body is fed by proteins, carbohydrates, and lipids. But the ruh is fed by dhikr and by noam, by remembrance of Allah and by sleep. And that's why the more dhikr you do, the less sleep you need. People that do deep dhikr actually sleep less than people that don't. This is a fact. And even, interestingly enough, people that do forms of non-Islamic people that do forms of meditation where they've shown that they go into theta wave states in their brain, they also need less sleep. So it's not simply an Islamic phenomenon. You can find this in other traditions, that people that do learn how to concentrate or meditate at a deep level don't have to sleep as much as other people. So there's something to be said for that, just from that perspective. Now, the nature of sleep is, if you sleep before 12, and I'm using 12 midnight, not the number 12 like on the clock, but before midnight, if you look, if Fajr's at 4 and Maghrib's at 8, then 12 would be half night, midnight, right? But if Fajr's at 3 and Maghrib's at 8, then it would be 11 o'clock. The sleep after Isha, before midnight, is worth twice of sleep after. Alright, so if you sleep 1 hour between, say now you go to bed at 10:30 and you sleep till 12, that's the equivalent of 3 hours sleep. It's only an hour and a half, but because that sleep is before the half night, it's the equivalent of 3 hours. Right? So people, and this is why the sunnah of the Prophet was to go to bed immediately after Isha. And in this, I'm not making this up. This isn't Hamza's theories or something like that. I mean, this is actually from Tib. And it's confirmed by if you do it. So, now the other thing is, if you sleep after Fajr, before Shuruq, it's negative sleep. So if you sleep an hour, it's as if you were deprived of 2 hours of sleep. Alright, you won't get rest from it. It's negative sleep. If you sleep after Asr, before Maghrib, or before Isha, it's negative sleep. All of that is negative sleep. It's as if you didn't sleep, you actually lose sleep. If you sleep after the Dhuhr prayer, before Asr, it's positive sleep. And it's worth twice. So if you sleep 1 hour between 1 and 2 o'clock, say you pray the Dhuhr at 1, if you go to sleep at 1:30, get up at 2:30, it's as if you've had 2 hours of sleep in terms of the regeneration, rejuvenation of the body, rejuvenation. Alright, so you following this? Now, if you sleep also after Asr, there's a hadith that Imam Suyuti relates in the Tibb al-Nabawi, and I don't think it's sound, but he related in there, and it said, whoever sleeps after Asr and wakes up mad, فَلَا يَلُومَنَّ إِلَّا نَفْسَهُ, let him only blame himself. مَنْ نَامَ بَعْدَ الْعَصْرِ وَاسْتَيْقَظَ مَجْنُونًا فَلَا يَلُومَنَّ إِلَّا نَفْسَهُ. He should only blame himself. So some sheikh was telling that in the masjid, and some crazy guy got up and said, no, that can't be right. I always sleep after Asr. So that's basically the benefit, of the sleep that we should. And the Prophet ﷺ used to sleep after Dhuhr, and he said, قِيلُوا فَإِنَّ الشَّيَاطِينَ لَا يَقِيلُونَ. Take qaylula, which is that afternoon sleep, because shayateen don't take qaylula. So it's a good sleep to do, and it's also isti'ana ala qiyam al-layl. It helps people get up at night to do the night prayers. Because if you're up all day from after Fajr all the way up to Isha, you're exhausted and you're going to sleep very heavily, and you won't have any rest. And also they've done studies these are like medical studies that the universities have done in the States, and these have been published in medical journals, that Mediterranean people who have Peluda, like Southern Spanish, Italians, that's where the studies were done. They don't bother to do them on the Muslims. And in Greece, those people had lower blood pressures, lower heart attack rates, less stress rates. They were healthier people, right? And they felt that there was a direct correlation between afternoon naps, and actually based it on stress levels rising throughout the day, that when you stop after dhuhr and go to sleep, that it literally bring you back to a starting point that you had in the morning. So you literally get a deep rejuvenation that takes place in that type of sleep. So, I mean, basically what, the point of this is that I think none of us should forget the responsibility that we have just to keep ourselves healthy. It's really important.